you can feel pain, you are alive. If you can feel others' pain, you are human. If you can work towards reducing others' pain, you are a Rotarian. Namaskar and welcome to the Rotary Sunday series from District 3192, where the stories of service, leadership and inspiration take center stage.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Anubhav Rotary Sunday series. And this time we have a special guest, one who really excels in philanthropy. His name is past President Rotarian Ajit Kumar Rai. He's the founder and chairman of Suprajit Group, and he's the recipient of the Karnataka Rajyotsava Award. He's a ranked student in mechanical engineering. He's done his master's in industrial engineering from Canada, and he established Suprajit Engineering, which started as a small scale unit, but with so many acquisitions, so much of growth, it has grown to become a listed company. Suprajit is now a global leader in mechanical control cable systems and halogen bulbs. His customers read like a who's who list, and his manufacturing locations are all around the globe, over 25 of them. He's involved in very many CSR initiatives through Suprajit Foundation and quite a lot through Rotary as well, with a special focus on healthcare, education, and rural development. Some key initiatives include contributions to industrial training institutes and educational institutions, construction of government school buildings, scholarships for underprivileged bright students, renovation of Anganwadis, and here I must say he's already surpassed 100 Anganwadis already, assistance to hospices for late-stage cancer patients, and dialysis care, eye care, and the list goes on and on. He focuses on benefit for the economically disadvantaged people. He is the past president of Rotary Bangalore in Ranaga, and he is involved in so many projects through Rotary as well. A warm welcome to you, past president Ajit Kumar Rai. Thank you for giving us the time and joining us. I'm sure that our interaction will have some key messages from you to inspire a lot of people.
Thank you, Sanjay, and it's a pleasure to have with you on this program. Thank you.
All right, sir. Let me start right away with an area which I think a lot of people will be really keen to know is while you contribute in so many areas, please share your thoughts about why you particularly like to make a difference in the area of education.
Sanjay, I have to step back a little bit and go back to my hometown. It's not really a town. When we were growing up, it was a little village. And my father was a local, he was actually a medical practitioner, but he never really practiced for money. He practiced for the local good. So he was very philanthropic, and I think we got some of that gene from him, I would say. And one of the things that I noticed is that the people who sort of went out of the village and reasonably were successful were the ones who got the right education. And I was one of those fortunate ones. And I also know many of my friends who sort of studied with me and went to, wherever they went and then did a successful career of themselves. Whereas I also know some of my friends in that primary school who could not afford to do beyond their 10th. And they stayed back in the town and became a helper in a garage or whatever that was. So that was something that was always in my mind. And my father was always telling me, you must encourage in this area, and, the town should benefit. So it's all started in a small way in my village, thanks to my father. And of course, the foundation started in 2010, actually much before the CSR contribution became mandatory. I was doing it even before that on a personal capacity, but we did it formally. Both our company contribution and my contribution was formalized to the foundation in 2010. And when we looked at the core areas where we wanted to, make a difference, I think it was education, healthcare, and rural development. and education with a sort of focus on rural development. We wanted it to be sort of connected. And the reason why I really focused more on education is largely because I felt that there are a lot of underprivileged students who are as good as you and me, but they don't have the opportunity. So we thought that we should give them that opportunity.
Wow, what a powerful motivation coming from your village and, of course, from your father. But I think, for a person like you, you've got really surpassed all levels of philanthropy. Philanthropy needs not just deep pockets, it also needs large hearts. And I'm sure we see a beautiful combination of that in you. I have been blessed and inspired by you when you've supported me on the COVID project as well. And I'll never forget that ever in my life. Thank you for that. While you do so many other projects and all of that, which are the ones that you particularly see as very high impact? Maybe you can even expand a little on those projects and share your thoughts.
Yeah, I probably will start with a little story on one of the projects I think which has made significant impact, and one more project I'll also talk about. Again, I'm bringing my father into picture. My father passed away, I think 12, 13 years ago. And we had the last rites in our home village. I mean, it's now a town, of course. And after the day of whatever cremation, the next day when I walked to my school, the classrooms where I was doing my 4th and 5th standards when I was growing up, whatever, 30, 40 years, 45 years ago, was all broken down, or rather brought down by the authorities, because it was mud buildings and they were not safe. And the government had instructed for destruction of those buildings for the safety purpose. And I could see the kids were all sort of jammed into a little larger room, where in one room they had something like 5, 6 classes happening, because they didn't have classrooms. And that was a major impact. And, I said, oh, the class where I studied is no longer there. In the same spot where those classrooms were there when I was growing up, we decided to build a new school building. Today, I think we have a ground +3 building with about 20 classrooms built in that school. And what is interesting is that in those days, number of kids because of, it was a completely dilapidated school. When I was going to school, I think we had something like 400, 500 students. And, I'm talking about 50 years ago. And when asked the headmaster, what is the number of kids they have today, they had only 230 or 250 students. Because despite the number of years passed, the school has come down in numbers. And when I asked, he said, the infrastructure is the problem. So there was a local, rather large-hearted man. He also was involved in this. So we jointly decided, okay, let's work on this. So over the years, we built this class, entire structure for the school, the toilets, and a lot of infrastructure like benches, desks, electronic boards. So we did multiple things. And when I see today, I think they have got 1,600 kids. So we can imagine the impact it made in the local area. So I think that is one of the very high impact projects we did. And we continue to work with the school today. But the second, I think, really impactful is, again, going back to the inability of some of the needy to continue their education. I think that's one of the biggest problem, because after the 10th, you have, there is a school fee, college fee, and a lot of them are not able to afford that, and the parents are not able to afford that. There's something was very dear to my father as well. So we are doing the scholarship program, with him for a long, long time, even when you are working and all that stuff. But I said, let us formalize this. And so we have taken one entire district in South Canara, where my village also falls into place. And every school after 10th can apply for a scholarship. Today, I think in the last 15 years we have started, I think we have got about 5,000 children. The point here is that we fund them from 11th till their degree, and post-degree, if they want to do a master's, we also fund that, of course, subject to they're doing well in their education and all that. So I think nearly 5,000 children have sort of gone through this program in the last 10, 12 years. And this is another thing that I feel, when I particularly I go for these programs of giving their scholarships every year to my hometown. And when their parents come and tell us the stories of how their daughters or sons were able to educate and they have got a job somewhere or whatever. I think that's a very high impact project. I think there are many projects, but I think I'll stop here with these two projects as some of the high impact. And of course, quite a few of the projects that we do in Bangalore, but they're also equally high impact.
Absolutely. I think a lot of projects, all of them are high impact, but nice to hear too that you have really initiated. And what a beautiful thing, 5,000 people getting the benefit, and that multiplies because it helps the whole family, it helps people to grow, get their livelihood. More importantly, it prevents them from getting into wrong habits and crime and all of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes. Yes.
So I'm very well deserved Rajyotsava award, I must say. But more importantly, I'm sure our viewers and listeners would love to know a little about your Anganwadis. You've already crossed over 100 and you're looking to do more. So what's the story behind the Anganwadis that drives you in that area?
I think from the Rotary side, it is a Fazal who came out with the idea of doing Anganwadis, I think when he was the president or just before he was the president. And that was something that was in our mind. Actually, what had happened was, again, going back to my hometown. My father was a social reformer in the town, and he was always asking for funds to renovate Anganwadis in the hometown. Because particularly in Mangalore, my village, which is close to Mangalore, we get heavy rains during monsoon. And these Anganwadis are in a small little rooms, and the kids can't even come out because it's raining heavily. So he was doing quite a few projects to put, additional shelter so that the rain, during the rain, they also can come out and sit and eat and that kind of stuff. So he used to ask us, send us 1 lakh here or 50,000 there. I'm doing that school, do this, do that. So that was in my mind, but that was on and off. I mean, I don't know, maybe a dozen schools Anganwadis he sort of renovated in his time, but it sort of stopped because he passed away, years ago. So when Fazal came out with the idea, it again, hit the right notes with us. So we decided, okay, let us do it in Bangalore. And that's how we started. And I think every year we have been doing something like 15 or 20 Anganwadis since he was the president. And that has, given us this target. And I must also congratulate Rotary Indiranagar, of which you are also a very dear member. We have done nearly 300 now, totally. So it's good to be part of that project, yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing those insights. And perhaps it would be useful to look at what are some recommendations you have for Rotary leaders, especially when they can tap into CSR funds, very similar to what your company is also contributing, but I'm sure there are others. So what's some recommendations you have, especially for Rotary leaders who really wish to make a difference?
I think the main issue here is that, the corporates do not have execution teams. So want to tie up with good NGOs. I think that is the simple, mantra they will have. Who is a good NGO to deal with? So they are in the lookout, particularly those who are, qualifying into this CSR contribution. They would be looking out for NGOs who can be depended upon, who are trustworthy, and who can deliver good quality projects, which they can showcase and they can be proud of. So that's where I think Rotary will come into picture. It is a question of pitching the projects to the corporate in the right way and giving them the comfort and confidence that, yes, we can execute a good project. And probably they will make you to do few small projects to see how good you are. And once it is done, I think, you could do much bigger projects. And I must tell you, I think our club has been doing exceptional work in corporate funding. And we can see in that some of those corporates have been long-standing with us. That's because they found us trustworthy and that we could execute it well. So I think that is very important. And as long as it is there, I think we can, attract corporate funding. Other important point, I think, to some extent, there must be a focus team within each clubs or even in the district. There should be continuity. Suppose, if every year, the problem, of course, in Rotary, like, some of these NGOs, every year the team changes. But the core CSR team should be same. The point is, let's say you go to a X bank or a Y company. If every year the face changes, they're also not, there the people don't change. If you're coming to Suprajit, it is Ajit Rai or Bhargavi always, But if I see every year a new guy coming for money, I think I'll feel little, oh, who is this guy? I don't know whether he can do the good job. Although the Rotary can do a good job. I think that's another point. Lastly, I think they probably want a proper recognition. What happens, I mean, I know it because I've done a lot of projects through Rotary myself, and proper recognition of the corporate funding, whether in whatever forum, is also needed. But ultimately, if they say that, okay, I've given the money, but I don't see my name wherever, I think that also would be a little bit of a dampener for their, enthusiasm. So I think that's some of the points that I have, I guess.
Wonderful. So it's really about building that trust and credibility. It's really about showing the quality of execution and providing recognition. But perhaps,
Absolutely.
I think, good to go back and showcase the impact so that they can increase their CSR support to the Rotary clubs in the future. So I think great
Absolutely.
piece of advice over there. And finally, sir, I would like to conclude by looking at what are any last tips you have for Rotary leaders that can support the community?
I don't know whether I'm really eligible to give advice to Rotary leaders, but my own humble submission, I would say, is that I'm not really interact with too many of the Rotary clubs today, but I historically have done. One of the things that I found is a lot of Rotary clubs do projects for the sake of doing a project. I don't see the impact being deep. I think it's important. I think too many projects, too little impact. I'm not saying there is no impact. Suppose you are distributing some 100 books in a school. Is there an impact? Yes, there is an impact. But is there a lasting impact? I think what is important is to, first of all, Rotary to focus on areas. Again, sometimes Rotary's focus changes every year for whatever reasons. But for example, our focus has never changed since we started our foundation. So
Yes.
it needs to be also identify some core projects along with the core areas and have a deeper impact and a lasting impact. I think that's where we leave our imprints, as we say, on the sands of time in these projects. And I think that is very important. That's what I would say. Too many, too little rather is not the best. Few but strong and long-lasting is probably better, I think.
Absolutely. Leave a lasting impact, leave something that really causes that transformation and not just a small change.
Absolutely.
I think that is your key message to Rotary leaders. Think of projects like how we are hearing from a person who's supported so many projects. He knows what he's saying. And I'm sure that this can be great advice for you to select few projects, build it, dig deep, make sure that you create that lasting impact. And that is how the CSRs and other philanthropists can all support Rotary, at least from funds point of view, while Rotary should excel in execution. And those are some of the key messages. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom. I'm sure that the listeners will really be inspired by what you say. And once again, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Thank you so much, Past President Ajit Rai.
Thank you, Sanjay, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you for the district for giving me the opportunity to interact and give my insights into what we do and whatever little pointers that I have given it to you. So all the best. I hope this leads to a lot more new projects for Rotary in the days to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Rotary Sunday series. If today's story inspired you, share it and subscribe for more such meaningful conversations from Rotary District 3192.